We're going to start off with the last two speakers here. We're very lucky to have John Shaw, an old friend, good friend, from, he's the Vice President of Publishing Technologies from Sage. Talking about mission and impact and things, I should share a secret. John, too, has a life outside publishing that I think everybody should follow. He and his wife have a winery somewhere that's just that's my mission anyway, to follow John's.
It's not international, though. It's off topic for that.
So on that note, I'll let John sort of come up and speak here. Yeah.
Thanks, Adrian. Well, thank you, everyone. Thanks for hanging out. And I was really pleased to get a phone call from Adrian asking if I could do this. I was a little mortified because I'm the product guy at Sage. So he gave me a challenge, and that was speak about our international development and mission and strategy. And I said, okay, well, this is a good one for me. It's totally out of my wheelbox, so let's have fun with this. Been around for a while, though, so as Adrian said, I am the Vice President of Publishing Technologies at Sage Publications. I've been with the company now for about 21 years and have done a little bit of everything except for sales and marketing. But seeing as the products that my team develops are the ones that we do sell internationally, this is a very relevant and important aspect of our business at Sage. So again, thank you for inviting me, and hopefully we'll get you through this 7-inning stretch, and we'll go and try to knock it out of the park here. Oh, that's bad. Well, it's not Moneyball. Okay, so anyway, you know, I think, and bear with me, I think in talking about Sage and how we've become an international publisher, it's important for me to talk a little bit about our history and going into that and talking about our mission, our vision, our values, our strategy, because that really actually helps understand why we're doing what we're doing and what we're trying to achieve as an organization. This is Sarah McCune, our founder, in a couple different years. Amazing. So a little bit about Sage from those pictures you can see. We were founded in 1965, so we celebrated our 50th anniversary last year. We are a prominent publisher in the social sciences and STM front. Social sciences have been the core, the bread and butter of our business since we founded. And then STM is something we've gotten into in the last 15, actually 20 years now, and mostly penetrated there on the journal side. We are a global publisher of many types of academic content. It seems weird to just call it journals and books. It's content at this point. And we have major offices in those locations, but many, many other offices as well. So as I mentioned, it's hard to talk about any of this without talking a little bit about our mission, vision, and values. Since Sarah founded the company, we have believed in innovation. And early on, the innovation was Sarah founding new disciplines that you all have studied in the social sciences while going through school. Today, innovation comes in not only us trying to look for new fields and disciplines, but also to develop and innovate new products. And this is core to our DNA and always has been. As I mentioned, a core thing to Sage is really the ownership. And this is a really important thing for us because this allows us to do what we do. Because we are in an estate plan, Sarah's still alive, but the company will be in an estate plan, is in an estate plan. But this gives us the freedom to really look at the long game. So the things we do are based on the long term, not on short-term returns. And as I mentioned, we do think a core of strategy. So although we do have a mission, vision, and values, we believe in strategy and really look at how we can affect the world on a day-to-day basis. And so we think about that as we're running through our day-to-day business strategies. So you can imagine through 50 years, we've probably evolved a little bit, right? Since the time that Sarah was in that picture. So 1965 we founded. She had a core vision to be the publisher of the social sciences. That is still very true to Sage. Our strategy was to publish journals and books. And we, for many, many years, about 30 of them, were very successful in just doing direct marketing. That's how we made our business. We did not have a salesperson. We did not believe we needed a salesperson. And when I started, we still did not have a salesperson. And I'll get a little bit into that because it's a core to our strategy. And that's really where things have changed a bit. Obviously, the world we live in is very different than that world, so we've evolved a lot. And these are just a couple of things that I think have been core to our success over the years. And I won't read through each one of them, but clearly having a strategy, our independence allowing us to do what we do. Our market focus, always looking at what we can do to further disseminate education through the world. That's in speaking with our customers, with researchers, and really understanding what they're trying to accomplish to be successful researchers, to publish content and to distribute that content out. Our process, I believe that's really core to our DNA as well. Operational efficiency is really, at the end of the day, one of the core things to execute on our mission. I say failing there, that's probably an interesting one for everybody. Failing is an important thing of our business strategy as well. You have to fail to get better. You have to fail on some things. You have products that fail once in a while, and that's okay as long as you learn from it, and you have to fail fast. Failing slow is a bad thing. So anyway, you don't want to fail too much. That's the important thing there. So that really gives you a backdrop to kind of where we are, mission, vision, and values that then go into our products. And this is all kind of in an end game getting to how we've become an international company and the importance of that. So Sage obviously has evolved a little bit beyond our books and journals that were our core DNA when we began. I think Sarah began with one journal and one book, selling an air conditioner to get $500 to actually start the company. And there you go. That's a motivation. In the past few years, we've gone a long way to start innovating in much faster cycles. And so we still publish journals, we still publish books, we still acquire companies, acquire books, acquire journals. But beyond that, we create new products. And these new products sometimes can be made up of journal content, book content, something we published in the past. But much of what we're doing today is newly acquired content, content we're commissioning, content we're acquiring or licensing. And so you'll see clearly since 2011, we've picked up the pace a little bit, with 2015 being the peak of our product development and a lot of investment going on to create new products for the international market. These are not just for America or the UK. These are for international sales, and that's important. The content is coming from everywhere. And you'll see Sage Video is something that we're growing quite aggressively around the world, and goes right back to what Sharon was talking about of international access of content and bandwidth in China. There's an interesting one. So the principles of our new product portfolio, and really these are core back down to the DNA and the mission that I was talking about. It's keeping education and research at the core of what we do. That is our DNA, along with being a content-focused company. And anyone you speak with on the Sage executive team will reiterate this, or our owners will reiterate this. We are a content-based company. Now, we may offer services, we may do other things, but at the core, we believe content is still the focus of our business. We think and believe we are very responsive to the market needs, so we're constantly in the marketplace trying to understand what the market needs from us, and then we try to deliver that. We're still heavily involved in the social sciences and trying to disseminate the social sciences and bring education to the world. And as I mentioned, we really think long term. All of these are actually key to us and what our strategy has been, what we're doing. As I mentioned, these are all things that we do internationally and sell internationally. And so this really gets into our evolution as a company. As we were thinking about products and product development, I'll take you back a couple years, in 2002, at a point we wanted to start expanding our organization and thinking a little differently. And at that, we worked with CSA ProQuest to start developing one of our first collection products of content, journal content. We had them work with us to develop a platform and to help us learn how to sell internationally, sell domestically and internationally. And that's where we really started trying to grow as a company and furthering our mission and vision. And so in 2002, that first concept or inkling to become a larger international company really started. We had been international far before that, and I'll actually show a little bit of that later on. So we've always thought internationally, but we didn't think from a sales organization or how to penetrate in a more effective way until the early 2000s, and that's we'll go through. Over the next few slides, I'm really going to try to walk you through some case studies here of how we've been growing our organization internationally, and what we'll do is we'll walk really a little bit through our Asia Pacific expansion. We'll talk a little bit about our Sage India office and what they're doing to expand. somewhat internationally, but actually domestically. But when you think about it, when we get to there, you'll see how they're expanding internationally within their own country. We'll talk about a little bit of Latin America, and then I thought I would pull in a little bit from Corwin Press, which is our subsidiary, and they've expanded now to take some IP into Australia. And so really shows how we've expanded and what we're thinking about as an organization. We'll end off with a little bit on the challenges that we've had on there, and of course the opportunities that we see. So without further ado, we'll get into some of this expansion, starting with Asia Pacific. I think this has been an aggressive growth area for us over the last few years. So when we decided we wanted to start going into Asia Pacific a little more aggressively, like everyone, and here's our stats for the day. So our Moneyball stats, we'll have a few of them. We really wanted to look at what the opportunities were, and these numbers are a little outdated, so these were actual sites that we were using back then. But you'll see there's a lot of red on the left-hand side. And then over in the boxes, you'll see, again, some boxes that show the growth of the markets and countries, emerging countries. And so that was interesting to us, and obviously something we need to pay attention to and think about as we are looking to expand. This slide, I think, is really effective because it does show, again, on the world economies, you see the People's Republic of China and Japan are quite up there. And this, again, is a couple of years old, but still shows kind of that growth when we were thinking about this. Now, obviously, we had already been in the USA and to Europe, so we had penetrated those areas fairly effectively. We still need to do some more work, but this shows kind of what we were looking at from a growth perspective. And then, as we've seen from a couple different slides throughout the speakers today, the content and the content opportunity. And this is really focused, it's from Scopus and focused on journals. But I think as we saw with Sharon, it shows the intake or input of articles from China or Asia Pacific have been growing quite steadily. And we see that kind of peaking straight up where the others are not plateaued, but not growing at the pace that we're seeing in Asia Pacific. So with that, and the expansion, as I was talking about, with learning the business and learning the international business, in 2006, we decided that we'd actually open our own office in Asia Pacific. Opening our own offices was quite important to us because we had partnered, and we still do partner with organizations, but as many of you probably know, partnering and having your own people on the ground makes a big difference. It's very challenging at times to count on other organizations to do your work or to represent your company with the same mission, vision, values, and strategy that you look to. And so when you're really looking to expand in a whole different way, then you want to think about what would that be to have your own people, your own offices, your own content. And so in 2006, we decided we would base our new Asia Pacific office in Singapore. And then since then, we've opened offices in Beijing, Kuala Lumpur, Kyoto, Japan, and Melbourne, making up of about 50 staff, largely all sales. So a few administrative, but that's sales teams. And we'll get into some other things that we're doing here as well. But their responsibility, of course, is to grow these offices. I take us back a little bit again here. Sorry, I guess I didn't want you to read it, but pretty pictures. So going back 2004 to 2010, this really shows trajectory, and these slides will be available after, but shows a trajectory of us thinking about the strategy of starting to grow. And this is actually a representation of both our books and journals side of our business. And so early on in 2004, we did have some people in our London office that were in charge of managing sales, but we didn't have many people on the street. And that's when we really started developing and growing out, building more partnerships, thinking about the strategy of bringing more salespeople on, and expanding out all the way in 2010. You see the expansion fully through Asia Pacific, and then of course into the Middle East as well, and Africa and Eastern Europe. And so all of those have been big growth areas for us, and we'll get into a few of those as well. I think this is an interesting slide because it does show our growth over the years and kind of how we've been progressively building that up. And so in 2006, started with a few people. In 2015, as you remember, I was saying we have 50 people, and those people are largely based in those countries that you see below. And what's a slide deck without having a picture of our international sales team? This is our Asia Pacific sales team. at one of the sales meetings. So just gives you the magnitude of what we've grown in just a few years to really control what we're trying to do as a publisher, and that's to disseminate education. And this is how we feel to best do that into emerging countries and, of course, into Asia Pacific. Of course, I'm not going to show exact numbers, but I will show you some slides that just show growth. That's real helpful, isn't it? So the colors make up different areas of our business, and it does show that from 2006 to 2015 that we've had consistent growth throughout. And I apologize that I can't really share anything more than that, but at least it gives you an idea of what we're seeing as steady growth since we have opened our office. But, you know, developing staff and hiring people and putting an office in, that's only an aspect of it. So I think what we've heard today is there's much else. You can have people in some place. It doesn't mean you're going to be effective. So with any office, and certainly in Asia Pacific, it is about getting that visibility. It's also about customer relations and building the trust and building the relationship. I think one of the speakers earlier was talking about the relationship and you know, when you're competing against organizations that have been around for thousands of years and you know, their fathers and grandfathers and great-grandfathers started. Sage is 50 years old. Now that is quite successful, but it's very young as well in this country and to other countries. And so we've had an aggressive campaign to gain the visibility. And you can see some of the pictures in conferences that we go to, but also really trying to build what our brand is, who we are as an organization, what our mission is. And that independence, believe it or not, and the reason I talked about that is really big to our goal and mission. We are not just another company that will be sold at some point. We are not held by you know, public stockholders. And so it will remain in a trust, and we are independent, and I think that's an important piece to who we are and keeping to our true values over the years. So that shows a little bit about our sales and marketing teams of the content that we did have, but that's just one piece of the picture of our organization. So the next step, I'm not saying that we've been highly successful and we penetrated the market and we're done, but I think we're also looking at what can we do with what we've built there. And so that really starts to get onto content and localized content. And I think this is not an easy next step, it's a hard next step. It's the natural next step for us. And so in 2010, we started to bring on some individuals that could help us here. And we hired one person in China to help us with looking at co-publishing and partnership opportunities. And the individual on the right, he came over from our journals division in the UK and moved to Singapore. And he's looking at opportunities for acquisitions of journals, working with local publishing in China, and really looking how we can expand what we do to the local environment. So not just selling our content, but creating content in the region. And this is really important to us as we see, obviously, that growth in China and Asia Pacific continuing to grow, and a lot of publishing is coming out of it. And so we believe this is the natural next step for Sage to create and repeat our mission here. So I think we'll stop on that for what we're doing in Asia Pacific, but before we move too far on, I wanted to go over a couple key issues that we've seen so far, a few opportunities and a few challenges. So you know, the opportunities that we have are continuing our sales development and making sure that we have the right teams and that we're penetrating the content that we have into the country. Continuing to look at our licensing and co-publishing, establishing those partners, that is a key aspect as well as trying to develop our own content. And then, of course, the content development. As far as challenges, well, the first one's one of ours, and that's that we have high growth targets set for ourselves. And the second one is not one we can really control, and all of us see, and that's being at mercy of the global economy. And that's always going to be a challenge for us. As far as some further challenges and opportunities, well, these are probably ones that we all see, actually. Nothing probably too new. This hits both books and textbooks, and journals. So if you publish textbooks, then you know the first two major points are ones. The more popular your products are, the more you see piracy and leakage. I guess that's a compliment, isn't it? So something that we deal with. Budgets flat or declining. I think right now we see them as flat. Maybe they're starting to increase again a little. DDA certainly has been a hot topic. The rise of OA and how we're all handling that on the journal front. Amazon, do I need to say anything more there? I'll just leave it at that. And of course, looking at the developing new markets, and again, something we don't all control, and that's the foreign exchange rate, so the volatility there. So what are we going to do next besides for what I've already shared? Well, and these are some things that we've already seen. Let's continue to strengthen what we've already done. Develop new ways of looking at to sell our content in and looking at different language. Developing opportunities for content into the regions, potentially monetizing free content, don't know, maybe an opportunity. And something that we all deal with, and it's certainly the challenge that we have to deal with is continuing to figure out who is actually buying the content as we move forward. So that's a little bit about Asia Pacific. What I'm going to do now is jump you over into our India operation. I think this is pretty exciting. So Sage India was founded in 1981. Sarah and George, or the two names that make up Sage, was founded in 1981. They had a vision and a love for the country and felt like that they could help there as far as disseminating education into Sage India. Sage India was a local publishing office, and so though they also resold our content, they publish into their own country. And now they also not only publish within their country, but they publish journals that sell out of the country. And so they sell local journals back out into the Americas. Their authors could be worldwide. So interesting set. Large staff, some of them obviously work for us for our operation, and they do publish a good amount of content themselves, and that's probably in the 75 to 80 mark of journals now today. As far as the opportunities, I think this was really exciting. As I said, this is an interesting one because they saw more opportunity within their own organization and in their own country. So it's kind of like international expansion, but it's international within their own country. They saw that within India, there are 25 localized languages, very much like China, is that you have a lot of languages there. And so we were only publishing in English and saw a big opportunity being left on the table for us to look at publishing into some of the largest languages that are being used. And as you can see there, there were clear opportunities that we had that we were missing by not publishing into local language. And so last year we decided that we would start the Sage Basha line, and that we would pick up in Hindi and Marathi to start with. And right now we're in the progress of actually getting that kicked off, dealing with the challenges of what that looks like, hiring and training sales teams to actually sell this localized content, and picking that up. Now this is just the first stage. Obviously, we're going to start with about 7 titles. We'll develop that into more journals if this runs well. And then we'll start moving that into books and other types of content after, if this is successful. And obviously we could go into different languages as well. So what's the 3rd, 4th, and 5th language that we might publish in? So an interesting story there. And again, it's very exciting just to show our international sales team in India. So that's our sales team just for India. That's the internal India team that focuses on what they're publishing. And then what's next? Well, there's a lot of opportunities. And let's go back to our Moneyball again. Let's look at this. And what this shows to us is that we were not thinking about something else. There's another big country out there that we just hadn't penetrated into that is publishing a lot of content. And that's Brazil. In Latin America. We see a lot of academics there, see a lot of content coming out. And with that, we decided that we would go in and stop working, well, we'd continue to work with our partners, but we would develop our own office into Brazil, and this is underway as of right now. So this is the next large expansion for Sage. So we had, on the far top left, we had a person again from the UK office that was from Brazil and decided to move there. So they were our first person, and now we're hiring others to continue on with that. And initially, of course, we'll be just moving in our content that we've already published, but over time we'll look at local publishing there as well. And one of those charts that just show that so far it's successful, but no numbers. 1, 2, whatever that means. They're not meant to be anything at all. Mean, aren't I? But we do expect this will spike in a different way once we see our sales office fully up and running. So the trajectory has been good, but it will change. And like we saw with anything, this has been a roller coaster as well, and something that we have to deal with is that the GDP or the growth in Brazil goes in its ups and downs. But this is what we deal with international markets, and we just have to ride with them. We know it will sustain over time, but that's the fun that we've had for the last few years. And lastly, just to round out, I said I'd talk a little about Corwin Australia, which is our publisher of professional books and products for teachers and districts, school districts and principals. And so Corwin Australia is a 25-year-old company, and their mission, of course, is to make teachers better teachers. And so they started diversifying their own business a couple years ago because that organization and that industry massively changed. And so they had to reinvent themselves and really diversifying from books over into products and services. We had an opportunity to bring a license in from Australia to start doing teacher education sessions into the US, but then had the opportunity to go back into Australia, where it came from, and to open an office there and to take out the middleman and start running that ourselves. So we opened the office, hired our own sales team, and are now actively selling into Australia and New Zealand. Right now, it's just taking these services, but again, once we get that up and running and it's running well, then we'll take it and start publishing books and other products through Australia. So a big growth opportunity for what looked to be a very domestic company and to take it out. We're talking with Poland and many other countries around the world about how we could extend this education into different countries. And so this seems to be something that can continue to go international. So just knowing I need to wrap up here, I thought I'd just put up a few considerations. Obviously, there's some things I just jotted down really quickly when thinking about what does it take to do what we've been doing? What are the challenges that we all see? And certainly, if you want to start up your own businesses in other countries, well, you better know the countries that you're trying to start into and what the policies are, because that could be more challenging than you think. With taxation laws, you have to make sure that you can do it, that you can publish and be successful doing it and still be profitable. The marketing considerations, the laws, the opt-in and outs that are coming through, that's a big challenge for all of us, certainly in this country. This is a big one. Who you partner with, who's doing your marketing, the costs of buying lists, goes on to what we're talking about is, do you partner or do you set up your own office? Do you partner for a period of time, learn the organization, learn how to be successful in the areas? How do you measure success with your partners? But at the end of the day, just really setting your own checklists and trying to understand what are you trying to accomplish in your organization, how are you going to do it, over what period, and what makes most sense to do it. Maybe it doesn't make sense to open your own offices, and it does make sense to partner. So again, not meant to be a comprehensive list, but just a few things to think about when doing the things that we've done over the last few years. So that is it for me. Sorry, taking a little bit of time, but appreciate your patience, and I'm going to hand you over to our reliever here, baseball again.
What did you call him?